All right, let's dive in. Imagine a world where uh, time isn't natural. It's controlled, manufactured, maybe.
Yeah, like it's all held together by some huge machine, like a giant pendulum in a tower.
Exactly. It sounds very Clockwork fantasy, doesn't it? But what if that whole reality, everything people just accept, is actually, well, a lie?
And what's really gripping in these sources is that some people just feel it. They sense the artificiality,
Right.
even when everyone else is just going along with the rhythm.
Right. Totally content. So we've got this really fascinating stack of sources here, these narrative texts that dig right into that.
Hmm.
Story about characters who, well, dare to question that controlled reality and the massive choices they face because of it.
And that whole journey of self-discovery when your world basically gets turned upside down.
So our mission today is to sort of guide you through these texts. We'll unpack the main ideas, the characters, the turning points.
Yeah, act as your guides, basically. We want to pull out the core insights. Hopefully you'll have some aha moments along with us.
Okay, so where does it kick off? The sources bring in this character, Antom, and right away he's just deeply unsettled by the world's rhythm.
Yeah, unlike others, there's another character mentioned, Nazar, who seems fine with it all, the tower, the mechanisms.
But Antom feels this, like, fundamental wrongness.
And it's not just thinking about it, is it? The sources describe it as really visceral. He has visions, like eternity crumbling.
Wow.
And this feeling that a false world just isn't worth living in. It's a deep inner rejection.
Right, it's that powerful feeling that really drives everything else. You can't just sit with it.
No, he's pushed towards action. Big action.
Which leads to this absolute pivotal moment. Antom actually goes and does it. He stops the main mechanism, the pendulum.
The thing controlling time itself. And the sources say there's this huge rumble and explosion almost when it happens.
And the immediate results are just wild. Space distorts, light bursts out.
And time just stops flowing like it used to. Reality is basically fraying at the edges.
There's that interesting bit about the artifact he carries, too, like a ball. It gets cold, but then later it pulses.
Yeah, like it's connected to him, his emotions, not the old system anymore.
So it really forces the question, doesn't it? What happens when you break the rules of reality?
Exactly. And then this powerful figure shows up in the chaos, offers Antom this stark choice.
Destroy the system completely.
Or become part of it, which is, maybe even more terrifying. Breaking free is just the start of another huge decision.
Yeah, you'd think stopping time might not go over well with everyone.
Yeah.
And the sources show that pretty clearly. What's the immediate reaction?
Well, resistance, big time. You mentioned Nazar. He's furious, scared, shouting things like, "What have you done, Antom?"
Why is the tower silent?
Yeah, what did you do to the pendulum? Pure panic and anger.
And it's not just him, right? Other people are pushing back, too.
Definitely. The texts describe people clinging to the old life, even knowing it was maybe false. They're saying, what if we don't want this? That life was real for us.
That really hits home. It shows how hard it is to force a truth on people who are comfortable, even in an illusion.
Yeah, and the old system doesn't just vanish. The sources talk about these remnants left behind, glowing fragments like broken gears.
Still with some energy in them.
And they hear voices from them whispering, they are returning. Which sounds pretty ominous.
Definitely a sign that the past isn't done yet. Maybe it's still a threat.
And what I find really insightful here is Antom's internal struggle. It's not just outside forces. He confronts this double or a shadow.
Representing his fears and doubts.
Exactly. It literally tells him, I am your fear, your doubt. But the twist is he doesn't defeat it.
Accepts it.
Yeah. He has to admit, I'm not a hero. I'm scared. I doubt.
And somehow accepting those flaws is what lets him move forward. It's about integration, not elimination.
Okay, so while Antom's dealing with all that fallout, the story expands. We shift to other characters, Lumis and Aina.
Right. They're on their own journey, but it seems connected. They're also drawn to these towers. Lumis feels this strong pull, like an inner voice calling him.
Something in these towers calls me. That's how he puts it.
And Aina, how is she described?
She seems quieter, more intuitive, like she already understands something deeper about the world and the towers, but she's also wary.
Afraid of the cost.
Yeah, she says things like, not all changes bring what we want, and I don't want to lose myself. It makes her feel very real, Even with intuition, the unknown is scary.
But they have each other. Lumis says, we are together, and we will manage. That connection seems key.
Absolutely. It's what allows them to step into these towers, which sound incredibly weird.
Yeah, tell us about those. Not really buildings.
No, more like Labyrinths made of glass and light, distorting reflections everywhere. They see different versions of themselves.
Which prompts Lumis to ask, what if this place changes us from within? That's a deep fear.
And Aina's response is key. She suggests it only changes them if they let it. Agency again.
So they go deeper and find this labyrinth of memories.
Yeah, filled with glowing spheres. And sounds, whispers, laughter, cries.
And Aina realizes these aren't just their memories.
Right. They don't just belong to us. It points to the shared collective past tied into the whole system Antom broke. Like the history is woven into the place itself.
So what do they do with that history? Is there a choice involved?
Yes, definitely. And just like Antom, they also face their own shadows. Fears and doubts trying to make them give up.
And they have to confront those. Destroy them.
That's how the source puts it. Again, that link between the internal battle against fear and being able to move forward externally, it's a constant theme.
Okay, so they get through the labyrinth, face their shadows. What comes next? A decision point.
Exactly. The sources describe them reaching this place almost like a throne room with more glowing spheres, representing choices, especially about the past they just experienced.
And their choice isn't just to understand or break the old system.
No, it's much bigger. They decide to actively create. They say, then we will create a world where time will no longer be a prison.
Wow. And this creation actually happens.
Yeah, the sources describe mountains, rivers, trees, even city outlines appearing around them, literally shaped by their words, their intent.
It's not passive at all. The world starts to take shape as they speak.
And they have that very human moment of doubt. What if we make a mistake?
But they accept that mistakes happen. They can start over.
Right. And Aina adds this layer about the cities being like living organisms. They realize they're creating life itself and need to understand how it functions. The responsibility just keeps growing.
But the past still lingers, right? You mentioned the fragment they find.
Yeah. Even as they're creating, they find one of those old glowing gear pieces and hear that whisper again. They are returning.
Still ominous, so the threat isn't gone.
Apparently not. And then a shadowy figure appears again, like the one Antom saw.
What does it tell them?
It explains the consequences stopping the pendulum broke the equilibrium, the cycle, and then it says something really provocative. That truth is just another form of control. And it dismisses them, calls them instruments, says they aren't ready for what's next.
Oof, how do they react to that?
Well, Aina challenges it straight up. If we are instruments, why do you warn us? Which is a great point.
Huh, yeah, it is.
Then they're offered two paths, a bright one, maybe illusory,
Or a dark unknown one.
and using that artifact fragment, it works like a map with symbols. They choose the dark path. The harder way seems to be the way to real understanding in this story.
Okay, so the dark path, what's that like?
It's described as a trial, filled with sounds echoes of their past, their fears, their memories. It's called a test of faith, not just strength.
And they encounter an obelisk.
Yes, and a voice saying only those who accept truth without fear can pass. They see those distorted reflections again.
Their fears made visible.
Exactly. Lumis with a broken sword, Aina with empty eyes. And this is where Tarik appears in the vision too, engulfed in darkness. The place literally feeds on our doubts.
Intense. Does the path split again?
It does, a warm, inviting path versus a cold, grim one. But Aina sees symbols on the wall, like a map, a spiral leading to the center.
So they follow the map.
Yeah. Despite the fear, despite seeing images like a tired clock from the old world, they decide the past won't define them. They move forward.
Into what?
Into a void. But they hear a faint hum, the sound of the heart of the world, the axis of everything.
Wow. So what's the big realization there?
That the journey wasn't just about finding answers outside themselves. It was about accepting the boundless possibilities within themselves and in the world they're now shaping.
Reality is subjective. Their actions matter.
Yes, but only when they really embrace who they are, their essence. Being prepared isn't knowing everything, it's acting despite not knowing.
And this new reality's fragile, held by choice.
And the ultimate choice is still hanging there, fully destroying the old to make room for the truly new. It's terrifying.
Okay, let's bring Tarik into focus more. The sources show his journey too, right? He was on his own path.
Yeah, guided by an inner voice, questioning his survival, seeking truth within himself. Very internal focus.
And he faced a similar choice of paths. Easy versus hard.
He did. His dark path was a forest of fears where everything he saw was a reflection of himself. And like the others, he chose the difficult way.
And then they all meet up.
Exactly. Antom, Lumis, Aina, Tarik, and maybe this Eli figure mentioned late. They converge at a crossroads.
And they know it's not random.
No, they feel it. We are all here not by chance. They feel called by eternity.
But it's not a peaceful meeting. There's a battle.
Immediately, shadows approached. The sources call it a battle for eternity. They unite their strengths.
Do they win?
They seem to push the shadows back, but it's not final. The space is still distorted. The silence afterward is heavy. That core choice remains. World or eternity.
What does it even mean at this point, world or eternity?
Well, facing that lingering distortion, they realize they cannot hold everything. And Tarik has this insight that a static world can't be real. Eternity requires change. It's an internal acceptance for each of them.
And then the figure appears again. Or a new one?
Maybe. It reveals a great mystery. Eternity isn't just endless time, it's an existence where every action, every choice matters. Their actions have fundamentally changed the rules.
So they understand their role now, not just guardians or destroyers.
Right. They have to create a new reality where eternity and time can be united, where change and permanence can coexist, maybe, in harmony.
And they accept this. They're ready to be creators.
They declare themselves ready, yes.
So how does this creation look? How is it described?
It's active shaping. The world is vibrant, unpredictable, pulsing with energy. It reacts to them. They realize this isn't just a new world. This is our creation.
And it's ongoing. The cities are like living things.
Yes, living organisms, a new entity. They have to learn how it works. And crucially, they still need to find the remnants of the system.
So the struggle isn't totally over. The old ways might try to return.
It seems like it. But there's this powerful moment where they join hands, combine their energies.
And they fight the shadows.
No, they transform them, integrate the darkness into a new force. The boundary of their new reality solidifies. The world is a pulsating organism they're connected to.
Wow. That's a different approach.
It really emphasizes their responsibility, doesn't it? And the unknowns, we cannot know all the consequences. Plus, the idea that the journey creates us.
Every choice is like invisible fire shaping them and the world.
Yeah, even the song of the wind reflects their choices. It leaves that question hanging. Do they keep that inner fire or give it all to the world?
Where does the path lead next? Towards the heart of the world.
Yes, described as a place of intense energy. Fiery lines on the ground, a dragon guardian mentioned, sounds epic. And more trials.
And these trials are about fear.
Explicitly. To pass, you must be ready to overcome your greatest fears. There's an energy barrier at a castle gate that tests their souls, hearts, and will.
And another shadowy figure.
Yeah, an entity woven from a pure energy stream, guarding the way.
Well,
What's its message? Only he who can accept his own shadows can go further. They need to leave behind constraints, proceed without fear.
so stepping into the chasm of their doubts actually helps them.
It transforms the fear into a new force. It becomes part of their strength, part of the path. They reach the heart of the fire.
Where they have to be willing to burn to become new, constant transformation.
Exactly. Accepting change as fundamental.
Okay, towards the end, the sources bring back the imagery of paths and gates. A gatekeeper of truths.
Yes, and huge gates appearing from nowhere. And Tarik gets this disturbing feeling of repetition. We are returning, like they're walking in circles.
That sounds like his deepest fear manifesting again.
It really does. He starts to doubt reality itself.
But Antom brings it back to
Togetherness. He says, basically, whether it's circles or forward, what matters is doing it together to know ourselves. The internal journey is paramount.
and they face those distorted reflections one last time.
Yes. Tarik's fear of endless circles where every choice resets everything. It's vivid.
So the final test is accepting those reflections, integrating the fears.
It seems so. Aina feels the space, watching, waiting. What is it?